Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Smite Pro League. This is Sunday, which means we have 4 wonderful games to bring you. My mic is too far from my mouth. The first of which is Cloud9 HyperX versus Coast from the European scene. My name is hi-rez Bart. That's Dry Bear. Dry Bear, this should be a really, really good game.
Yeah, it absolutely will. I think C9 is kind of hitting that stride point where we're looking at, Optics, of course, performing very well. We see a lot of the remnants that we saw before Sio and, the collection of them left. But Coast looks so good. I mean, they've been playing perfectly. They've been missing nothing. And then coming into this one, it's really, as far as like which team really has to step it up, it's still got to be C9.
Yeah, you got to think Cloud9's still the team that really is looking to prove themselves here. They have a win under their belt, but that win was kind of suspect. I mean, it was a late game, kind of steal it away. Not that, like, steamroll, we came in and we conquered style of victory. I think they're looking for to really feel like that they're back and running on all cylinders.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're definitely kind of hitting a little bit of momentum, but losing to Mortality earlier was kind of a bit of a loss, right? Because they lost to their old captain, and that kind of thing, and there's kind of bad blood going on. And Coast, of course, was this new team that came out of nowhere in like week 6, week 7 of the qualifiers to the play-ins, and you're looking at it, you're like, why in the world are they playing so well? No one really understood. And then within 2 weeks, they already had a sponsorship, and then they went to the EU Pro League kickoff, and they won it, and it's just wow, and a bunch of fresh faces, and it's always great to see. So the boys over there on Coast really making a splash as they come into the Smite scene.
Yeah, the second team sponsored by Coast Gaming here in the Smite Pro League. The first one didn't go quite as far or do as successful as the current roster here, but we are in the picking and banning stage, as you can see on your screen. First band's coming out. It's Aphrodite on the left side for Cloud9.
Well, I mean, Cloud9, they're 2-1 right now, so they were able to beat TSM and, of course, SK, two very strong teams. Ended up losing to Mortality as that one loss.
Hold on, before we go any further, let's talk about Giannis, because Team Coast has to decide if they're going to ban Giannis here. Optics has been absolutely shut down destruction with Giannis so far, and indeed they will.
I mean, there's no thought. I mean, if you don't ban Giannis, you're not paying attention.
This is the first Giannis ban against Cloud9, and we'll see if Optics is going to be able to bring it to the table with another god at this point, as Young Bay is selecting his first pick.
Well, they got Ramgon, of course. They do not want to give that away to Shaggy Shank, but he can play a lot of different hunters, so I'm surprised to see that going through. Honestly, it's going to be the John Quay, the first pick, as it's always been. It's kind of a trend, right? Get rid of the main targets, the main suspects, and then pick John Quay.
We have it on both sides, right? Aphrodite also banned out against Maniac
That's
here.
right.
So you have a couple of very targeted bands. Variety. I'm sorry, Variety.
They're interchangeable.
They're just so handsome. I always forget to get them mixed up.
That's what
it is. There's John Quay getting first pick there. But yeah, Variety's Aphrodite is gone here. So that should be interesting to see how it all goes down. Also, Rom taken away, which means we're going to see some different
double hypercarry,
Apollo and something else. Here comes Mercury over on Team Coast. Are they going to take something like a Hubwa
here?
Oh
boy.
Oh, I called it.
Oh, man. It's the double hypercarry. I knew they were going to go for a Loki, for a Hubwa, for one of those very strong bursty-style characters. They're going to have Mercury and Hubwa on the same team. Hubwa can go to the side of Variety, of course, and Mercury either going to be taking, I imagine he'll go to Bobat, considering how strong that character is. Across the way, they're going to select that Geb, which means that we'll either see a Athena here for Coast, or they'll just decide to go another way. We do know that Tomato can play a lot of different characters here. Serket's still on the board and will actually be selected for a C9, surprisingly enough. We've seen Serket banned almost every single game, and we've only seen her played once or twice, but she wasn't really played very effectively. So, it's really up to C9 to show off what Serket can really do.
Serket has been a really interesting kind of god. She came into the almost a similar path as Osiris. Kind of came into the pool of eligible gods, and everyone was like, I was getting emails like, what is this? Like, how am I supposed to use this god? Like, here's our ideas for buffing her. I mean, I'll never forget. I have like 2 emails in my inbox from pro players about how we should buff Osiris.
Right.
And the same thing here for Serket, and now she's kind of climbing up the ranks as a very, very high priority god. One of the best CCs in the game, in addition to her ability to shut down healing, and picking Ra into her. We'll see if that's going to be effective for Coast.
Well, I really like the pickup of Serket versus the Mercury and the Hubwa. All you have to really do is hit that madness and then jump on top with the ultimate and get a single little blast from that dash, and all of a sudden you can burst them from 100% down to 15% and then just jump away and they'll die to the poison. So very easy to kind of burst those style characters down. I mean, one of the reasons why you do pick Loki against Mercury and a little bit surprised why they didn't pick Loki this time around, is that those kind of hyper carries that are squishy, you just jump on them and you burst them instantaneously, and there's nothing they can do to actually take your team out. So Ra's going to be selected for Coast. A great pickup there. The bans are coming out now. Looks like it's going to be Apollo on the side of Coast, since they already have the ban on Rom on their side. They're going to be banning out, it looks like, Bacchus instead of Athena here. Tomato does play a fantastic Bacchus. In fact, he plays more Bacchus than Athena, but even so, you got to think that a top-tier support player can play Geb or Athena in their sleep.
I don't get it. Why would you ban Bacchus? You don't want to deal with belly flop initiation at the objectives, maybe? Like, I don't know any other reason why you would do it. I mean, it's not like he really is effectively countering any of your current picks. I suppose
the ultimate on Mercury
burst that he comes out with, it's the amount of burst that he comes out with would be very troublesome for Serket to deal with, because she does have that low HP pool and needs to stay in range for a while. But I feel like we're missing a piece of insight here as to why you'd ban out Bacchus against his team.
Yeah, I don't know, especially since Geb would be able to remove any
That's right, it's
CC
such a long
on
duration burp to get the CC. You'd have plenty of time to react to it and put the stone shield up. Interesting pick, but we do have final selections coming up from Cloud9.
It depends on what the pick is for optics. He's maybe picking a mid like Isis, or someone who really has a hard time being CC'd effectively, but then again, you're going to have Athena with a taunt, so maybe. I mean,
Geb can deal with either of them, but it seems like Bacchus is the less high priority. But I was going to bring this up as well. Loki's still eligible as a solo laner to go ahead and get that into their team to deal with that Mercury. So they will, in fact, draft that Loki likely for the solo lane, putting Zhong in mid on her with Geb, of course, and Serket in the jungle for Cloud9. And the burst comps continue to roll forward as Team Coast has selected Thor, Hubble, Mercury, a Ra on top of that for a little bit of sustain and solo lane presence. And now they're going to be looking for their Hunter, one would assume here, or even a support running Mercury in that Hunter role, which is most likely, it seems, at this point.
They can still, I mean, there's not really else they can do with it. I mean,
here and
they got Hubwa and they've got Ross. They're going to be running the Mercury Hunter role here with Amir, so it's actually a pretty big pickup here, especially against characters like Serket and Loki.
That Frezzy life.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Loki's going to be a great. And it's known that he's a great pick against Mercury, but he's also a great pick against Hubwa. I mean, any of those assassins that can get on Hubwa's face and jump on top of him, like Fenrir, Loki, even Serket, I mean, they're going to have to rely heavily on Thor and Amir to keep the CC and peels heavy, because Hubwa and Mercury are now going to be under siege by Serket and Loki, and even Anhur, who can jump on top and impale. Hubwa is going to be, running for his life. And here's the thing, right? When you're running a Hubwa, if he's not, I mean, he's got to be in the solo lane as we wait for him to swap up. Oh, he's going to be in the mid lane. That's rough, because there's a lot of aggression that can come out onto a Hubble in the mid lane, and it's up to Corneo to actually play this perfectly, because if you fall behind early, it's rough.
Yeah, and Variety, no surprise there. Variety plays almost exclusively healing base gods in the solo lane. If you look at the top three, they are Chang'e, Aphrodite, and Ra. So,
ironically enough, there's not much variety for him.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, Variety, a man of simple tastes. He likes his healers, and he likes his safe solo laners. Ninja Bobat's going to be in the jungle on the Thor, Carino on the Hubwa, and you're right. This Amir pick is feeling like a little bit of catch-up here. They're like, oh man, we really need CC now, as they did ban out the Bacchus, and I guess that's the deal, right? Bacchus has 2 CCs in the burp and the belly flop, able to deal with those assassins, those very mobile assassins, perhaps a little bit better than an Athena can, even with her own mobility. So you pick up the Amir for similar reasons. Large cone CC. It's pretty easy to hit those Lokis as they try to escape, but can they deal with the mobility of Hyrock is the question. The good news for Team Coast is that if they kind of have the wherewithal and the passion to invade here, it should be pretty easy invades at the level 1 area, as Serket and Loki don't bring a lot of jungle secure.
Sure, definitely. But one thing that could be mentioned as well is that Bacchus Ultimate would make a really tough time for characters like Serket and Loki, who only have a small window of opportunity to attack before they have to get out of the fight.
Sure.
And then if they're wobbling like this, you can miss the Loki Ultimate, you can miss the Serket Ultimate.
Bring in the burst, bring in the...
even the lash there for Serket has to be precise with the way you put it.
That's true. That ability is very hard
rough.
to hit if you're intoxicated. The trickiest thing about that ability is it's shorter range. It's 40 feet instead of 55 feet.
And 2 projectiles is a little weird sometimes to figure out how you're going to...
Yeah, the 2 daggers.
Yeah, it just comes out there. But, go ahead and give us your predictions in chat, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we're watching C9 versus Coast. I think going to this one, the fan favorite is going to be Coast, but C9 has been growing in strength and numbers. They're currently 2-1 right now. C9 is actually tied for first, I believe. No, they're in second place.
At 2-1.
Mortality is undefeated so far, but Coast is 1-1. I mean,
Good
Coast ended up
old
getting that
Mortality.
victory a little bit earlier this week against Exposed Secrets, but of course, later in the week, they ended up losing to Mortality, the undefeated team. So that's actually the one thing that C9 and Coast share. They've both lost to Mortality.
That's right. And Mortality, the number 5 seed coming into this tournament, now sitting on top of all of the teams and on the back of their latest acquisition in Sio, doing quite well with that Mercury split push style. But we won't see them playing today, guys. The rest of your games, Cloud9 and Coast, we are getting ready to get into any moment. Following this up is going to be Exposed Secrets versus Team Solo Mid from Europe, and then it's going to be Dignitas versus Snipe on the North American side. And finally, it'll be the Thirst Boys going up against COG. So 3 more games in addition to the one you're about to see today. All kinds of Smite for you to watch this weekend. The games start here at the tops of the hours. So this game started off at noon. The next one will be at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless this game goes for an entire hour itself. So we are going to be hopping into game here any second now with Cloud9 versus Coast. Thank you for joining us. My name is hi-rez Bart. That's Drybear, and we're about to kick the commentary underway. Let's go ahead and introduce your teams here in just a moment. It's going to be really a kind of a swing game for both of these teams. They both have some wins. They both have some losses under their belt. But first up on the docket is Cloud9 HyperX. They are NQ Optics, Youngbei, Emilito, and HyRock. HyRock will be your jungler as Cirquet. Youngbei will be your hunter as well, the one and only on her, not something we've seen much of recently. More on that later. Emilito will be your support. Geb backing up Youngbei there. Optics will be taking the mid lane, where he will be playing that Zhang Kui, and the NQ finally in the solo lane as Loki.
Against them is going to be Team Coast, the boys coming out from nowhere in the qualifiers. We've got
boys.
Variety going to be playing Ra. Ninja Bobat is going to be in the jungle with Thor. Corneo is going to be in the mid lane with Habwa. We've got Princess Tomato, of course, on Emir. And Shaggy Shank, the man himself, is going to be playing a Mercury Hunter role. Head-to-head, Coast versus Cloud9 is starting off right, guys. We're about a minute minus here on the timer, about ready for these mid-caps start spawning up, and the jungle buffs are coming out here. It doesn't look like anyone is really grouping up too heavily here for an invade. Both teams really have a decent team for invading realistically. They have a lot of damage they could start out with and a decent amount of CC, but it looks like neither team is going at it. Man, that Diamond Hobwa looks good.
Diamond. Yeah, he does. That nothing like getting spleeched by diamond water.
That's right.
It cuts while also hydrating. So early wards
electrolytes.
coming out. Not too many. Pretty standard opening here. Couple wards being placed here by Variety. One on the right side at the camp. One on the back side to protect the blue buff spawn for Coast. On the other side, Cloud9 just with the single ward. Suspicious here. So very little ward vision from the boys of Cloud9, but it does spot out Mercury searching for kills in the jungle, where Shaggy Shank will be playing his hunter role as the Mercury. Haven't seen this one from Shaggy Shank yet, but we have seen it a few times in the Pro League.
Yep, Snoopy ended up playing that twice, actually, in the NA Pro League kickoff LAN, and worked very, very well for him. In fact, Team Dignitas had a lot of trouble taking that out with their main roster before the swap-up, so definitely a very, very strong play if utilized properly. Really, the only weak part about it is going to be the same thing for a Freya Hunter, right? It's those first 5 to 6 levels where you don't really have that ramp-up time yet, where you can't really clear the wave, and you can push back pretty heavily, but then after that, when the supports start to leave and rotate to mid-camps, and you're trying to box, everything can get really, really powerful, and things start to get kind of out of control at that point.
Well, as the teams do take their opening camps, we'll see how Optics intends to deal with Corneo here. And remember, guys, this is the first time we're going to see Optics on a god that is not his favored Giannis. We haven't seen him play anything but that yet so far. And not that Zhang Kui is particularly troublesome. Zhang Kui kind of similar to that Nemesis we were talking about yesterday. If you do have to play something you're uncomfortable with, both of those gods, either Zhang Kui or Nemesis, fairly easy to kind of just do the things with.
Back Harpy steal from Emilito on the left side. He looks like he's going to roll directly over, get the hog out, and take it down, which means that he did not actually hog the blue. They took it down naturally, so he has the hog able to steal the back Harpy with some pings coming out there. Looks like it's from Youngbei. Mid lane, Corneo is going up against Optics here. We're going to see Optics on something other than Giannis to see how he can fare on a character that's not incredibly strong, and we're going to have him push over. But then again, Zhang Kui is definitely in that boat. The right side pushed up towards the tower is HyRock and NQ, that double assassin solo lane becoming more and more common nowadays. We see Bobat kind of going through the jungle to poke things out. Left side damage on Princess Tomato. Shaggy Shank getting low here, needs an impale or something to take him out. Looking for the shot, not going to get it.
Bay so close. Russia stroke there a little bit. And Shaggy Shank hitting level 3 now, going to give him that level 2 Major Look, which will help him out quite a bit. And with that early golden bow, clear is pretty decent, especially that first ability that he throws out can just be so dangerous because he has his passive fully stacked up from running all the way from the base, and I believe that first crit came out and hit for about 200 damage. So I gotta watch that first Major Look on those crit Mercuries.
See the damage buff started up here by hi-rez, and giving it to Optics. Actually, he didn't do the damage buff? What ended up happening over here on the side? I actually didn't see the start there. For some reason, hi-rez has yet to clear out the damage buff. This is the first time he's going to clear it out. He might take it from... Nah, I guess he would give this to Optics as he's going to...
Oh, maybe he was helping them take that blue buff, and that's why they didn't hog it.
I don't think so.
I'm just making stuff up at this point, Tyler. Just trying to help you out here, buddy.
Oh, wow. Well, damage buff on the other side. Ninja Boba going to clear that out himself. In the mid lane, we do see Corneo kind of clear this out. About to hit level 5. We do have no ultimates on the board right now. Besides Optics, we just leveled up there. And now we're going to be able to kind of start looking for more engagements. Keep in mind, there is going to be a Thor from the jungle, so a lot of gank opportunities come from that long-range ability to fly and then land down and get the stun across, of course. Left side, Shaggy Shank and Princess Tomato have effectively regenerated most of their HP. Princess Tomato still sitting at half, where Shaggy Shank is back at full. Look at the atomization here. Looks like no one has really gone back to the base except for, I guess a lot actually. Optics has gone back on his magic shoes. Corneo is still sitting on his first started items, looking to clear the wave out and head on home.
Right side lane, we haven't checked in with much here. In the solo lane, it's going to be NQ versus Variety, Loki versus Ra. This is a matchup that should go in favor of Ra. Probably about, I'd say should be maybe 10-20% ahead leaving the solo lane. But let's go ahead and check in on the left side of the mid here, where we do have Emilito getting low. Once again, here's Corneo under a lot of trouble. Desert Fury going to clean him up, and Young Bae with the first blood in this game through the wall there. Nice job. Optics is going to slow him down, and it's good to get that early kill onto the Hunter. Well, honestly, it's really good to get that early kill onto any of your DPSers, or even the support. All of those work quite well. But once again, hi-rez on in on Princess Tomato. The poison is active. He's going to need at least one more auto attack. It's going to be there. And now it's going to end on a Bobat. Bobat going to take some damage from the rotating Loki. And down he goes. It's 3 kills in the first opening gambit there for Cloud9. They're off to a great start. That's going to turn into 1,000 gold plus 2,000 experience. And they'll have map control.
They do not expect the amount of damage they just took there. I mean, you saw hi-rez jump in from the side with that stealth jump, getting the ultimate and pushing the person back with that last breath poison, and now all of a sudden they're in a lot of trouble in the start of this match. Looking at the gold, of course, they're already about 1,000 gold ahead, but they're going to get even more as they do clear out the mid camps. They're going to start clearing out the jungle buffs as well, heading back to their lane, as we do see NQ running over to that right side tower. Left lane, we see On Her and Emilito kind of pushing up here, but what a great start for C9.
Cloud9 looks like they are feeling very, very comfortable here. They have On Her on Young Bae. This is his favorite god for sure. I mean, going back a long time, this is probably his most played god as well. Even though other hunters have come into favor recently, it looks like we're going back to some old school stuff here. We got a little On Her action, a little Amir, a little Hebo, some of the old school gods coming back in, and Young Bae very, very comfortable, I think, on the On Her. And I think there you see just a nice bait. He's going to go ahead and pick up that kill onto Hubwad. Corneo, not with his Aegis beads up and running yet, still pretty easy to gank.
Yeah, Young Bae, from over a year ago, used to play a bunch of On Her. One of the best in the world at On Her, in fact. So definitely kind of going back to his roots there. You can see with the Impale and, of course, the ultimate through the wall, allowing him to get that kill, that first blood, actually. Pretty big that the Hunter picks up the first blood in that engagement there. Knock up left side. Emilito's going to try to push this lane back. We see that NQ is actually going back to his lane to clear this wave out. Young Bae has finished his Devour's Gauntlets across the way. Shaggy Shank has finished off his golden bow here, so we're not going to see a whole lot of corollary between the two hunters. I do that with the air quotes going on, of course. We do have that Mercury on the right side, but a lot of damage is going to be happening in the mid game as they start to rotate.
Yeah, and looking here at that early opening start from Emil, I mean, you saw him rotate to those back camps and pick them up with the Hand of the Gods. Oh, hold that thought, as Bobat's going to initiate over onto the left side. Emilito's going to make it out of that Amir ultimate, but still going to take a lot of damage. The shield keeping him fairly safe. Desert Fury coming out, going to force them back, but here comes Hubwa. Cannot pursue is Cloud9 because of the angle that he got there. But that, like I was saying, that early rollout from Ged to pick up that backside XP camp, and it gives him a level ahead in the lane, and it's just continued to be effective as the fights continue to break out. Debo unable to secure the kill, and then you saw that first blood coming out that resulted in a lot more. Young Bae now trying to go into the nice Amir wall, going to prevent him from saying too much about that. NQ shading towards the mid lane now here as well. He's going to be spotted by a ward. Corneo should see this coming. Optics still going to try to put some damage out on him, likely, but Corneo is looking for the damage. Doesn't matter. There goes the ultimate. Is the dog going to take him down? It will be indeed. That low HP pulled Ninja Bobat in a lot of trouble as well. Serket Poison likely not to be enough. He's going to need at least one more hit. Will hi-rez? Will he dash through? No, going to get stunned out. And now here's Variety. Will he be able to burst down the slippery Serket?
Needs the ulti. Needs the ulti into that Celestial Beam. Can't get the distance on. The question is coming out here looking for the shot. Celestial Beam going to come out shortly. He's got it. Nice shot for Variety. Knock up Emilito here, throwing Princess Tomato into the jungle, actually. I think he was hoping to hit him into the wall instead, but was unable to get that shot on the wall, unfortunately enough. So Princess Tomato will be getting out pretty easily. Kind of the expressway out of the fight, actually. Look at the gold right now. You can see 1,100 gold still in favor of C9, and 2,000 experience to boot. The Gold Fury is still standing. It looks like it's going to be a little bit of a loss early on for Coast, but they're standing strong.
So left side here, are they going to try to rotate into Youngbei? No. Princess Tomato going to fall back, and Ninja Bobat going to farm, so just allowing Bay to stay here. Good news for Coast is Shaggy Shank is still on parity with Youngbei, even given those early kills. Youngbei, of course, will be up a bit of gold here at 4,200. Looking across the way, Shaggy Shank 3,900, so about 300 gold off of that first blood, but is staying up in experience, which is very, very important. We'll see what he elects to do with this Mercury. Will it be that Sayo style of all-in split pushing where you stay very, very committed to making sure that the enemy team is off balance? Or will he look to play like the traditional Hunter?
You know, honestly, you could do both. Realistically, I mean, the same thing that goes for Apollo, right? You can split push as much as you want, get as much gold as you want, but hi-rez looking to set up here on the left side. They do have a ward on the top side that's spotting out a few moves. I mean, they know he's going there, so they can definitely spot that out. You can see that Emilito is not in the lane either as he runs up to the Gold 3 to ward up that mid-camp transition. Damage off is still standing here, so a little behind on the jungle clear is hi-rez. Of course, committing time to go over the left lane and try and get an initiation onto that Mercury. I mean, they just want to slow down the Mercury farm.
Yeah, they need to, and because he's just scaled so aggressively, and he will out damage on her pretty quickly. Even though on her really is known, well, at least at one point in the game, for having the most vicious auto attacks late game due to his passive plus his #1 damage amplification, but he's still level hard to go toe-to-toe with Mercury. Mercury just has so much damage CC out of that toss. It throws you up in the air and gets 2-3 additional free in-hands there. Right side lane, hi-rez picking on Variety still. That anti-heal so effective on Serket.
I do love the Amir pick versus the Geb, though. You can see on the left lane, the wall comes out and stops the rollout entirely. Not able to kind of get through the jungle there, rotating over to the mid camp. He's looking to get in the back Harpies, realistically, and we saw that, you know, right when he did that, Prince Tomato smotted it out and said, hey, you're not taking my Harpies away this time, Emilito, so get on out of here. We're going to see possible rotation to the right side here as NQ and hi-rez are still hanging out, looking to steal the mana buff. And due to the fact that there's been not a whole lot of focus on the right side of the map, from Coast, they're going to take it for free.
Yeah, they got it in addition to the speed buff. Geb putting out some pressure on the Tomatoes. Shaggy Shank did get quite low there, as it looks like Youngbei threw out his Desert Fury yet again. Speaking of Youngbei, it looks like he will be building into that Heartseeker on top of his Devourer's Glove, so going for the flat damage. As Cloud9 looks to take a very early Gold Fury here, about the 9.5 minute mark. Youngbei will have quite a bit of in-hand damage with his double stacking gold, even though it's not ready to go. Oh, that's a big ultimate combination there, as in comes Thor as well. The Mercury ult did work. Here comes Hubwa too, doing his damage on top of his ultimate. hi-rez trying to find Shaggy Shake in the back. Will it be enough to take down the Mercury? He's going to need at least one more hit. No, Mercury will get the crit. Optics will clean it up. But that's unfortunate. It's just so hard to get in that boxing match with Mercury. He hits faster than you. He is faster than you, and he crits a lot.
He does. That's actually a great play by, you know, two players there, Corneo and, of course, Ninja Bobat. Ninja Bobat actually threw his hammer and teleported across the mid lane. As soon as he teleported, he immediately started ulting. He just wanted that extra distance so he can be in ulti range. Laying down the fight as well as Corneo, getting a really great ultimate for a crushing wave. He didn't hit all the targets, but that's the best part, right? He actually forced them to split.
Sure.
Some went up, some went down, and someone into the Gold Fury camp, whereas Thor came down right thereafter. And so they had a really great split into initiation on Thor, and then good damage from the Shaggy Shank Mercury Hunter. A little bit greedy from hi-rez, actually trying to trade blows with Mercury, and you know, it's like you can't hesitate there. I mean, either you commit or you don't. I mean, if you're kind of floating next to him and he's punching, all you got to do is take one glancing blow and he's going to crit and kill you, and you really
that's
can't
the problem, right?
that.
Is if he does hit you and you get low, he can still mage you look as you try to get away. It just has such long range. Probably where I would expect to see that ability take some nerfing as a hold on. Princess made a lot of trouble with the final hits of Desert Fury, not going to hit, but I think the biggest issue with that ability, besides the fact that it can crit, of course, is the range you can cast at it. If it was about half the range it is now, Mercury would be much more difficult to secure those kills with. But looking around the map here, as no, hold it, so hi-rez going in once again on to Corneo, and it will be enough. And now the poison going to apply to Ninja Bobat. He's going to get a second on top of him from Optics. Will the burst be enough? Ticking down any longer? No, Bobat is A-okay now that he's taken to the skies, and he will ult away and be fine. But that's going to prompt Cloud9 from going for the Gold Fury again. Is Shaggy Shank's ultimate back online yet? It is, so they have to be careful of this, as it just blew them up in the last fight.
Yeah, but there's no Bobat. He's too far away and doesn't have his ultimate either, so that's a really great pickup there. They knew they actually got a kill on Corneo. They knew that Princess Tomato was forced back to the base. He was too low on HP, and they also knew that the Bobat ultimate was on cooldown, so that was a free Gold Fury for them, and smart call from Cloud9 to go directly for it. I mean, they've got a pretty decent 3,600 gold and 5,100 experience going for them right now. It seems like Coast is having a lot of trouble here against C9 in the early stages of this match, and that's the hard part. I mean, both these teams have pretty strong hyper carries, but definitely the late game damage would go to Coast with Mercury and Hobwa together. But the team fight spread damage would kind of go to C9
could be in some trouble here. There's a sprint activated onto the Mercury. Auto attack's coming through, but he's going to miss the toss. Youngbae still to go down here with Ice Shards coming through, and even missing the CC, the team able to pick up a kill onto Youngbae. It'll be the 4th kill for Coast. Will it be enough? Now it's going to be Princess Tomato's going to be initiated on ultimate coming up from Geb as well. Surket's here putting out her damage. Will she use the ultimate as well? hi-rez going to jump back in now. Ultimate still not online. He does have his Hide of the Urchin. He's going to try to stay in here and secure this kill to Princess Tomato. When will the ultimate come back online? Misses his dash, and that's going to be that now. Ninja Bobat's going to rotate in, find the stun. Damage coming through into hi-rez. hi-rez ultimate online, but will it be enough? Going to throw it on a Shaggy Shank, trying to leap away now, but here is Carino to solve that problem. Down will go the bug. Emilito in some trouble now as well as he's slowed by the wet paper. Optics is rotated as well, but is it going to be enough to save his teammate? It will not indeed. And a lot of kills coming down over on the left side lane there. Just classic kind of coming in one after another. 3 kills go the way of Coast.
You know, I could definitely, if I were it to be in their TeamSpeak or their Mumble channel, I definitely would have heard, hi-rez, we gotta get out, man, gotta get out, hi-rez, it's too much of a kill, hi-rez. Emilito was just sitting back there asking hi-rez to go back, who was still committed to the fight. And here's the thing, like, if you're going to commit that hard, it shouldn't be for a support. I mean, you're not going to be, gaining that much by killing off a level 9 Emir at 13.5 minutes into the game. And
especially with Gold Fury down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the big thing, right? I mean, if you're spending that much time trying to get a kill, you got to know that you've bought enough time for the enemy team to rotate. I mean, you've basically given them, 15, 20 seconds of chase time for Hobwa to join in, for, Emir to get away, for Thor to join in. You get the distance across the map, they're going to get there in time. So definitely should have gotten out on that last engagement looking for the kill. Even if they did get it, it would have been worth it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they still would have gotten blown up there. They had already lost on her, and the Hubble was rotating. They still would have lost 1, and losing the Surket there, not so great for them. hi-rez had a great start to that point, but Surket basically is notorious for just having a lot of deaths in games. I mean, a lot of games that I've seen or played or watched where Surkets end up, 7-7 at the end of a game, just dying every time they get a kill, even though they are so effective at finding those kills. Here comes some initiation at the blue buff for Youngbae, and Optics are looking for killing a Princess Tomato, and they're going to find it. They just want to pick on this Emir, and that's really the main deficiency of this god as a support, is that you can just pick on him like this.
Yep, he can't really get anywhere. He needs to actually get some golden experience here to start catching up.
Oh, Youngbae with a pillar on the Shaggy Shank. Going to pin him as well. Bees force to be used as well as the sprint. Coming over the wall is both hi-rez and Bae. Auto attacks coming in. Ultimate from Surket used, and down goes Shaggy Shank. Easily picked up there with a beautiful, beautiful pillar from Youngbae's on her.
Youngbae knows on her. He knows it well, and a great jump over the wall from hi-rez as well. Grabbing the ultimate, throwing him out of the tower. Impale's going to come out shortly, even if he did get an escape route there. Left side tower being pressured here heavily. Bobat is there. Corneo and Variety on their way over, and it looks like Tomato's going to be down the lane as well. Tower will fall for free. Optics is still pushing the mid lane, and credit goes to him for clearing that one out. Variety getting a lot of farm, though. Looks like he's already finished off his Breastplate of Valor. Of course, he's not stacking up to the farm of NQ, who's in that solo Loki role. And here's the problem, right? You've got Loki, who's got a teleport, shielded teleport, so now he can start split pushing.
Yeah, the Heartseeker done. No deaths to his name. 3-0-1 for, I'm sorry, 1-0-3. A little bit of Slystexia there coming through as NQ is really poised to take this game over. I mean, we haven't called his name very much besides that early kill into Hobwa, but it's dangerous when you let a Loki hit level 17. He's the highest farmed of all players, most experience, most gold. Heartseeker done, 1,500 gold in hand. He is about ready to start blowing people up, and it's just really more of a question of what will his third item be.
Well, That's, it's got to be either Deathbringer or Rage. With the gold he's getting now, he might go more conservative and pick up the Rage, but looking across the way, Deathbringer may be the choice considering the fact that you're going to have an on her, a Serket, or a Loki on you, and you want to hit as hard as you can in that single source. Really, really, really heavy damage just to burst them down before they burst you down. So maybe it might be that Deathbringer.
Yeah, I would expect Shaggy Shank to go for the Deathbringer right away.
Yeah.
NQ, I'm thinking probably a Jotun's Wrath or a Titan's Bane coming out of his next item. Traditionally, it would be the Jotun's Wrath, maybe the Titan's Bane as well. Optics has a decent angle here on the Princess Tomato. But it's just going to card him up and tell him he's too young to get into the club here, so he's going to take a bit of damage, but be healed up nicely by Variety's Beam. One thing we don't have coming out from Cloud9 outside of the Serket is much anti-heal. So we'll see if that does affect them later in this game, as those AoE heals from Ra will tick the team up. Will they build into that Weakening Curse? Still have one ability slot available to Optics, but he probably wants to go for a Shell.
Yeah, Shell seems to be more and more popular nowadays. We see a lot of people picking it up, and it helps with a lot of the burst, and that's kind of the meta we're in right now, is how much burst can you pick up, and how much can it change the fight. And so with a Shell, especially a Shell of Absorption, that allows you to kind of just keep, it's flat protections plus percentage protections and damage reduction. It helps so much with characters that jump on you trying to get the kill. Right side NQ is still split pushing Variety, 2 levels behind him actually, not able to keep up with the pace there.
NQ's level 18 at 17 minutes. He has Heartseeker, he has Bead 3 plus Port Towards Up. No, I'm sorry, he's gone for Shielded Teleport. So he's very, very mobile, very dangerous today.
Well, Fury though on the left side, C9 can start this up here. Ghost is on their way. They gotta get a little more damage than a single target. Ninja Boda come in. There goes Mercury Ultimate. High Rock forcing it back here. Crushing Wave gonna land on Youngbei, forcing it back as well. Corneo gonna drop already. Looking for Emily to his dropping low. Youngbei jumps away in time, but Shaggy Shank grabs on the ground. Knocked away though. Yeah. Great shot. Optics in trouble, gonna go down. It's gonna be a 2 for 2 or 1 for 2 if Serket can survive.
Looks like HyperX going to be okay. I don't know why he's even pretending like he wants to fight them here. Oh, HyperX, do you have a Death Wish? What is this guy doing? What is this guy doing? Oh, HyperX.
Oh, man.
You silly, silly man.
That Aegis, though.
Using his Aegis, he's still chasing kills. HyperX not willing to let Coast get back. I guess they're trying to buy time for Loki, If they don't let the Ra back... Okay, that's definitely what it is. They were trying to buy time for Loki to get in to the Phoenix range. HyperX and him going to now leap onto Ninja Bobat as well, in addition to the Amir, and they clean up both of them. Easy peasy. Ra's not coming through, not hitting anything, and Loki does take the tier 2 on the right, so that's what HyperX was doing. He was stalling out Coast's availability to back, and they actually capitalized.
He had a plan. He had a plan the whole time, so credit goes to HyperX there. We saw NQ, who's level 20, and also took out both the tier towers on the right side, so no towers remain on the right side there for Coast, clearing it out. That's a 1,500 gold gain for that tier 2 tower alone.
They got a lot off of that last engagement. They went from about 6,000 gold ahead to about 9,500 gold ahead.
C9 looking sharp.
3.5 netted there on that Gold Fury, plus the multiple kills, plus the 2 towers they picked up, one of them being a tier 2. All of which is very, very nice for them. And now Emilito is going to go ahead and ward up the Fire Giant, as that is definitely where they're looking next with their pretty big lead here is Cloud9. And they did a very nice job of keeping Shaggy Shank down. You can see that last fight, he just wasn't that effective. They kited him very well. They only pick up Optics, does Team Coast, and they chase pretty deeply there. But some really nicely placed rollout from Emilito. Going to knock Mercury off of the ball, unable to secure that kill, and then it'll keep him CC'd, and Cloud9 able to secure the kill onto the slippery Mercury.
Now I see Ender to the left side and use that decoy to clear out the wave. He's pretty farmed right now. He's looking to finish out that Jotun's Wrath into Titan's Bane coming up next. A very standard high penetration Loki build we see all the time. Thor can pick up that blue buff, it looks like. Actually, to take some CDR and mana for himself. Fire Giant is started up here on the right side for C9. They're going to leash it away as they do see some rotations coming out. Optex going to find Variety here in that jungle. Shaggy Shank is there.
HyperX sitting invisible, took about a third of his health from the Fire Giant lava. Oh, positioning fail.
Well, he wanted it.
But, once again, look at NQ's positioning. He's pressuring the left side. Phoenix going to try to force them back as Emilito's dashing in. They want to prevent anybody from Coast going back to defend, but Mercury was already there. However, it does pull them off of the ball. Fire Giant getting started up again. This is very clearly Cloud9's strategy at this point.
Yeah, they're pulling them off, and then of course forcing Shaggy Shank back. He can't get back to the Fire Giant in time. It's going to be up to Coast to try and steal a Fire Giant in a 4 versus 5 situation as NQ is already there, teleported the ward. High Rock, Handling God's coming out there. No shot. Princess has no one to hit here. 2 players on the backside, though. There's Frostbite going on Youngbei. Yam's got Searing Pain going to hit 2, actually. Force away. Ninja Bobat's up in the air, but he's so low on HP. I don't imagine to come down on this one. He's going to fly away, it looks like. Yeah, he's going to be okay in the backside, but overall, it's going to be a 1-for-1 plus Fire Giant.
Yeah, Optics will fall. He zones out the team, though. Picks up a kill of his own onto Carino, who just underestimated the damage being put out by that Zhonghui. And Optics has looked pretty good on the Zhonghui. It hasn't been the dominant style of game that we saw out of his Giannis, but it's been effective. 3, 2, and 6. Of course, hi-rez having his first really stand-out game of the Pro League so far. 6, 3, and 6 onto Cirquet, and he seems very comfortable with her.
He really does. I mean, honestly, it's working out, especially they got the Loki for backup. I mean, all you have to do is throw out that ultimate from Cirquet and the Loki ult, and all of a sudden the person's dead.
Almost, yeah, how can you live through that?
It's too much damage. And Golfrey's going to spawn up here in just about 1 minute and 30 seconds or so. C9 is in the area looking to group up and kind of take this one down, but Coast really has to stand up and make a statement.
yeah, they're going to need to make some kind of statement here shortly. And Shaggy Shank, I feel like, has got to be more of a threat. Like, we're just not seeing that traditional Mercury style of aggression where he's throwing out those major looks and he's zoning the enemy team out. He's split pushing to force them to not be able to group and push like this. But right now, Shaggy Shank looks like he's basically forced to set up these ultimates for his team so they have any hope of winning team fights. And when they have won team fights, it's been on the back of a very, very strong Mercury ultimate followed up by several more. And really, I think, it comes down to him and Ninja Bobat just not really forcing much out of Cloud9. Cloud9 able to do exactly what they want, even in the midst of these assassin, super initiation ultimates, 2 of which are on the side of Coast.
We'll look at NQ on the right side looking to initiate over the wall, trying to grab somebody up here, but it looks like he's going to go default to his split push strategy. That's a problem, right? Because Shaggy Shank has been trying to split push. How do you out split push a super fed Loki with teleport to wards? I mean, you really can't. He's got full map control. He's got a lot more damage than you have at this point, and anytime you try to fight him, you're going to end up dying. So Shaggy Shank has to play it very, very carefully here.
I can't believe he didn't just go in on the Bobat there. Sitting at 6 levels ahead, Bobat, you see, gets down to about 5 HP now. hi-rez in a rock in a hard place, quite literally there as he's stuck. Shaggy Shank could have fall there as NQ just continues to pump out damage. Emilito getting quite low, but here comes the Zhonghui going to tank up the front lines. Emilito will fall now to Bobat, but NQ's going to go ahead and pick that up. Oh, the stun is big, but NQ going to live. Fire jab. Oh, Variety just adding insult to injury there. Going to go ahead and snipe down the Loki that did have trouble securing that kill on the Thor, but he likely to fall as well as Cirquet's auto attack with the bonus damage is going to hit.
They can end.
And, they may be able to end here. They're going to take out the second Phoenix just to make sure they have enough damage. You got 15 seconds for Princess Tomato, but he shouldn't be much of a deterrent. Now in goes Youngbei, going to throw out the pillar, but of course the Titan just going to go and walk right through that bad boy. Youngbei going to try to face tank here. Do they have the damage? It's going to reset now to Optics, and yes, they will, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Cloud9 HyperX taking a very convincing win over Team Coast here in game number 1 today.
A fantastic match. I don't think anyone really shipped the win for C9. I think Coast was really the favorite going into this one. C9 came out, and they really didn't lose any aspect of that match, right? I mean, they were winning in the beginning. They got the objectives they needed. They made a first attempt at Gold Fury. It failed. They tried again on top of the Gold Fury. They ended up getting it the second time because they forced the ultimates and sent the right people home. But, everything about C9 looked great there. And I think a lot of people coming into this were saying, Optics, if he doesn't get Giannis, they're weak.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, if he doesn't get the Giannis, no one was expecting them to win without the Giannis, or at least a lot of questions are going to be raised. Can he play other gods? Excuse me. Also, hi-rez, a player that people, and then we've been saying as well, is he really the right fit for this team? Is he going to be able to perform? And here we see a great game on Cirquet for him. Let's take a look at a Cirquet replay as he actually rides that wave along. You can see that it just, as he spreads that poison out, it forces the team to split. And there's that big roll-up from Emilito that does end up saving Youngbei as Shaggy Shank gets knocked off. And hi-rez, this is where he actually ends up trying to keep the Amir and Thor from falling back. Unfortunately, was not successful, but it did last long enough that Loki was able to get the tier 2 there. So another thing about Cirquet, and I think why we saw him try to box the Mercury earlier, is that, as you use your abilities applies to poisons, and they each are basically 10% of the player's HP the next time you auto-attack them. So I think you thought he had more poison stacked up on Mercury.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity in the early stage for Cirquet to kind of bait that out, right? Because you never think that Cirquet's going to do as much damage as it really does. But, honestly, that's the first match of the day, and it's a fantastic one to watch. Up next, guys, is going to be Exposed Secrets up against Team Solo Mid. TSM is looking to get some more victories as they do come off their win yesterday against SK Gaming, a big victory for them. So stay tuned at the top of the hour here in about 20 minutes. We're going to see the next match, Exposed Secrets up against Team Solo Mid. For everyone here at our wonderful, wonderful video place, we'll see you soon.